Indiana Fever season ticket holders and Caitlin Clark fans are literally tagging Fever GM Amber Cox in posts while selling back-to-back game tickets for pennies. Yes, that's happening right now. Fans who plan to drive hours to watch Caitlin Clark are canceling trips, dumping seats, and calling for Stephanie White's job after another blown lead against Atlanta. So if you've been watching this team fall apart in real time and wondering when enough becomes enough, you're in the right place, because the economic revolt against this front office just went public in a way the Indiana Fever cannot ignore. Drop a comment below telling us what you think is the real problem of the Indiana Fever.
They planned trips, they canceled trips, they bought tickets, they sold their tickets, they rebought tickets, they sold their tickets again, they finally gave up. People have told me, we decided to not try it again this year. All right, then there was the, is there a back injury, not a back injury situation. People have had enough, folks.
Someone who drove 4 hours to watch Caitlin Clark last season is now sitting there refreshing StubHub, trying to offload 2 seats for letting after it. When Clark arrived in Indiana, Fever games didn't just sell out, they sold out fast, with fans building road trip groups around away games, flying in from other states just to say they were in the building, and refreshing waitlist pages hoping someone dropped a seat. This wasn't casual interest, this was the kind of crowd energy that franchises spend decades trying to manufacture. And Indiana got it almost overnight because of one player.
Stephanie White needs to go. Watching Caitlin Clark go crazy yesterday in the first quarter, oh, folks, it brought us back to 24. Oh, it brought us back to the good old days. Cook, CC, cook. Cook, CC, cook. And then Stephanie White, she started tweaking, doing that tweaking thing on the sideline. She started sniffing. She had that tinkle, that twinkle in her eye that said, oh, this will be a great time to give Kelsey Mitchell the ball.
So what does it mean when that same fan base starts flooding resale markets within 48 hours of a loss? Seats that sold for multiples of face value 6 months ago are now listed below face, and some are going for as low as less than $10 on resale platforms right now. Not discounted, not marked down a little. Literal pennies on the dollar for tickets to watch the most talked about player in women's basketball. The post that spread fastest came from a season ticket holder named John Michael, who travels to games with his daughter and publicly announced he was selling his tickets for the July 17th and 18th home games against the New York Liberty and Seattle Storm. He tagged Amber Cox directly in the caption, not just venting to his followers, but putting the Fever's own GM on notice in front of thousands of people. And the caption spread because it wasn't just frustration, it was a specific call-out of the front office's decision-making. He confirmed he sold the tickets through the Ticketmaster quick sale option at 50 cents on the dollar, meaning he took a real financial loss just to get out.
The Pacers ownership better be paying attention. Just sold tickets and canceled our hotel/flight reservations for the back-to-back home games on July 17th and 18th. They had tickets to 2 games. My daughter and I have flown in 2 years in a row. We're both so tired of watching terrible basketball.
Another fan from Washington who planned to fly in for her 68th birthday started weighing canceling flights and hotels entirely because, as she put it, there's just no hope in this coaching staff right now. Fan groups that spent last season organizing watch parties and coordinating road trips have gone quiet or shifted into frustration threads. And the grassroots enthusiasm that made Fever games must-see TV is turning into something the organization can't just ride out.
Oh, this will be a great time to give Kelsey Mitchell the ball and just ruin everybody's good time. Kelsey Mitchell, it's all about Kelsey Mitchell. It's not about Caitlin Clark. It's not about the fans. It's not even about winning games. It's about Kelsey Mitchell and letting Kelsey Mitchell do what Kelsey Mitchell wants to do. And that's dribble, 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 dribble. Stephanie White would rather lose with Kelsey Mitchell than win with Caitlin Clark.
What makes all of this genuinely alarming for Indiana is that the Fever themselves started discounting tickets. So a franchise that ran legitimate waitlists is now running a clearance sale on seats to watch the best women's basketball player on the planet get sabotaged by her own coach and the refs. That's not a Clark problem. Fans aren't done with her. They're done with the people making decisions around her. And the people doing this, the ones tagging the GM and eating financial losses to sell their seats, aren't casual fans who drifted away after one bad game. They're the ones who renewed early, bought the gear, and built the communities this team's entire revenue model depended on.
You don't plan entire family vacations around games if you're quote unquote a fair weather fan. You don't do that. You don't do it. You're not gonna do it. Real Caitlin Clark fans, and they are fed up with how she's being handled and the way this team has been built, the way it's coached, you name it.
Caitlin Clark dropped 26 points and 7 assists against Atlanta the other night, and Indiana still lost by 17. So the question isn't whether Clark showed up. She absolutely showed up.
The Indiana Fever were just decimated by the Atlanta Dream. Absolutely decimated. After Caitlin Clark with a historic first quarter. A historic first quarter. She dropped 13 points in the first quarter. I mean, just look at this. 13 points in the first quarter. 5 for 6 from the field. 3 for 4 from the three-point. She's the GOAT.
The moment fans keep rewatching is a sideline exchange in the third quarter with 8:41 left. Indiana still up by 5. Clark sitting at 19 points with only 2 turnovers. White got animated with her on the sideline after a foul call, and Clark came back onto the floor visibly deflated. Atlanta then went on a 13-0 run.
Talking to Austin Kelly right here once again. So instead of going straight to Stephanie White, and what is Stephanie White doing looking away from Caitlin Clark? Now, habits told me one thing, is that whenever Stephanie White looks away from Caitlin Clark while Caitlin is looking at Stephanie or approaching Stephanie, that usually means that Stephanie White was wrong.
Fans have been calling this the icing pattern for weeks now. White pulling Clark during runs or benching her at moments where
they called foul after foul after foul after foul when nobody was getting touched. But when Caitlin Clark did that same drive to the hole and was getting hit all game, they didn't call that foul. When Kelsey Mitchell goes up for a layup and is getting pulled from behind, her hand hits Ryan Howard in the face and she gets a technical. But when Angel Reese goes up for a layup and elbows somebody for the 3rd time in 2 games, no upgrade on Angel Reese.
The club listings piling up by the hour.
This is crazy. That was the first one I was just like, how's that a foul? Because watch this, Caitlin Clark's being held. 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. Remember that, because you're about to see a whole bunch of ghost fouls. There's another one, Sophie Cunningham. Every single play, we're trying to build a lead, but we can't because the refs stop the game every single second when nobody's being touched.
Like, this is her. She was smiling at the end of the first quarter. You know what I'm saying? Happy as hell, hitting threes. Look at the defenders' faces looking like they was on the verge of crying, on the verge of tears, terrified of this girl. Terrified that she was on pace to drop 52 points tonight, chat. 52 points. 13 points a quarter. And mind you, I don't even think she was done by that point. But this is Caitlin Clark, man. This is who Stephanie White wants to continuously take away from the ball.
Who performed best. And the players who actually moved the ball and competed came off the bench. Clark dropped 26 in a loss because 5 other players couldn't convert what she handed them. And Indiana still lost by 17. The ticket fire sale is happening right now, but 6 months from now, if nothing changes, the Fever won't just be dealing with unhappy fans on social media. They'll be walking into sponsorship meetings without the one thing that made those conversations easy. A guaranteed sellout bill.
Thousands of tickets available. Let me just pull this over so you can see it real good. And $10 seats. $10.89, $11.80. There's a slew of those. Again, guys, we're talking about games that Caitlin Clark is, we think, is available to play in.
The financial pressure is already visible. Coaching change and roster move conversations aren't fringe fan theories anymore. people who cover this league for a living are taking them seriously, and the scenarios getting the most traction involve either replacing White with a coach who actually builds sets around Clark's pick-and-roll game, or making roster moves that finally give Indiana real interior defense and shooting around her. Both conversations are happening at the same time, which tells you how much patience is left.
I was looking to fly in for games this year, but after seeing the players that were brought in and then watching Stephanie White destroy our offense, I will not be making any trips this year. Wow. We have traveled multiple times from Michigan to Indy to watch the Fever the last 2 years. I'd love to go watch this year, but there's not a lot to watch, and I just can't bring myself to get excited enough to drive 4.5 hours for the displeasure of watching this Fever team. Damn.
The Clark to another team scenario, which nobody wanted to even say out loud a year ago, is now something fans bring up regularly, and they're not bringing it up because they want it. They're scared it becomes the only rational outcome if Indiana keeps burning her peak years on a structure that doesn't work. And that fear is exactly what's driving people to sell seats at a loss right now, instead of waiting to see how the season plays out. What 2026 actually looks like with the right moves in place is worth thinking about clearly. Clark at full health, runs, that's an MVP race player on a team that belongs in a championship conversation.
Thought about driving to Indiana to watch a game. Comes down here and says I don't even want to give them my time and money. I mean, seriously. I canceled our trip as well. Sold the tickets to Ticketmaster for a loss. Absolutely. Until you fire Stephanie White and the staff and yourselves.
Every ticket listed at a loss is a data point Amber Cox has to account for, because the Fever's financial model for the next several years runs entirely on Clark's star power translating into attendance, sponsorship deals, and media value. Fans doing this aren't casual viewers. They're the core, and they're sending a message with their wallets that's harder to ignore than any tweet. Indiana has something most franchises spend decades chasing: a generational player in her prime and a fan base that already proved it'll pack buildings for her. Whether the front office treats the boycott as a real warning or waits for it to fade, the next home game's resale prices will answer that question before any press release does. The fans tagging Amber Cox while selling their seats aren't done with Caitlin Clark. They're done writing checks to a front office that keeps putting her in positions to lose, and that's a very different thing. Drop a comment below telling us what you think is the real problem of the Indiana Fever. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications as we're bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen and we'll see you in the next one.